guys, Marian here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my review of the Netflix show Unorthodox. So I thought it'd be fun to review this show as a Jewish woman because it has a lot of perspectives on Jewish women. So I wanted to weigh in with mine. I hope you guys like my review. If you do, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. And definitely let me know your thoughts about the show down below as well. I'd love to chat with you guys in the comments about it because from what I've been hearing, people have some thoughts. So I wanted to talk about what I think the show got right, what I think it got wrong, and what I just like and didn't like about it. Okay, so I binged this show a few weeks ago now, and I instantly loved it. I found it very bingeable and one of those shows I just wanted to find out what was going to happen. Shira Haas, the main actress, is very captivating. She's stunning. She's beautiful. She has this look about her that's just very intriguing. So I was definitely interested in her and her story. And I am obsessed with the religious neighborhoods and religious communities in Brooklyn and other parts of the world. I find them so fascinating. And I'll get into a little bit more about this, but as someone who faith is very important to them, I'm fascinated by how other people express their faith and how it influences how they live their life. I'm one of those people who deeply believes in the values of Judaism, but I'm not one of those people who will do something just because the rabbi told me to, especially if it feels wrong to me. So a little bit more about that in a second. So jumping into what the show got right versus what they got wrong, I just want to mention that a lot of people have never met a Jewish person or might not, be friends with a Jewish person. And sometimes you may only think of a Jewish person as, a man in all black with a hat or a woman covered up with a wig, kind of like this show depicts. So I just want to kind of say for anyone watching who's never met a Jewish person that there are many groups of Jews and there are many different sects within Judaism. So this neighborhood, this specific community is one small component of the Jewish community. And I, for one, am a firm believer that a Jew is a Jew is a Jew. So just because one group of people interpret the law one way doesn't mean that they're right. And just because people have labeled themselves ultra-Orthodox or ultra-religious doesn't mean that they're the ones who are actually following the truth of the law and everyone else is doing it wrong. They're following what their rabbi has interpreted as the truth. And just a little mini history lesson, I promise, and then I will go back to reviewing the show. Before World War II, Jewish communities didn't have all these definitions within them between who's who and who's what. It was just you were Jewish. And the Reform community was one of the ones that started first, and they sort of went away from some of the traditions. And as a reaction to that, a lot of the Hasidic communities formed as a reaction to get back to certain things or to live life a certain way or to not assimilate. So so just want to get that out there that is how some of these groups originated. And it's really important to me that you world don't think that there is just one right way to do Judaism. Okay, so that aside, what did they get right? The Hasidic community has a very strong value in family, and I think that the show really showcased that who you marry, how you live your life is very much influenced by your parents, your siblings, your rabbi, and I think they really nailed that aspect to it. And what's so interesting about this character's story is that she came from a smaller family. She didn't have those strong family ties, that strong family support system, which really just shows you how invaluable they are in those communities, and that to the people who don't have that, they're really disenfranchised. And that's why it's also really hard sometimes to get into these communities. I mean, lots of people convert or lots of people become more religious, but without those family ties, it's really hard to immerse yourself in the same way. Another thing the show did really well is explained why some people within those communities are very powerless, and that is because they don't have enough education to survive on their own. So I think the show really touched on how if you decide to leave the community or disobey the community in some way, you're really at in a very vulnerable position. Not only will you lose your family and friends, which of course is huge, but just realistically, if you don't have a proper education, especially for women, it's going to be really hard to survive out in the world, especially without the family, friend support system. But even still, just lacking some of that basic knowledge, it really showed how a lot of these community members, might not have access to regular cell phones or the internet or traditional education. So it really puts them at a disadvantage, and it really gives the entrenched power system a lot more power because they're not always educating the younger generation in a way that would empower them. And the last thing they really got right was the importance of tradition. As you can see, the clothes, the religious customs don't change based on a whim. In fact, they're extremely entrenched and extremely important that things are done right and done the way they've always been done. So I think they really captured that essence. And, looking at these communities from an outsider's perspective, it's really clear to see how detached they are from the modern world sometimes because of how important tradition is to them. So I found that aspect of it really fascinating. So what did I think they got wrong? I think they really did a disservice to a lot of religious communities because they didn't show too many redeeming qualities of these people and the way they live, and I felt that was unfair. Many people are very happy living a Hasidic Orthodox life. Many people have a lot more freedom and education and experiences than the specific folks that they showed in this show. And I think that because the show focused on someone who wasn't happy in that life, it obviously focused on the things about that culture that are frustrating and depressing. But there was a lot of good there. There's a lot of happiness and warmth and love and so many beautiful good things that I don't think the show did a good job of capturing. So all that official right and wrong stuff out of the way, I just want to kind of share how I felt about the show. My main criticism of the show has nothing to do with the, portrayal of the Orthodox life. It was the whole focus on the friend group in Berlin. That just it just felt so fake to me. I don't know about anybody else, but have you ever walked into a new group of friends and been instantly accepted? I just don't think so. Making friends is very, very hard. Maybe just for me, but I mean, even in a situation where new groups of friends are forming or people are really open to that sort of thing, I just found it so odd and strange that she would just show up and they would just be like, yeah, come with us to the beach. So that felt very strange. And just the whole dynamics with the Israeli girl not liking her, which I know what they were trying to touch on there, that, there's some friction within Israel between religious communities and the not religious communities. And that could have been an interesting take, but the way that played out just felt really fake to me. Then the whole music career. So, focusing on this idea that she wanted to become a musician and that was part of her story and she has this beautiful gift, I was just like, but why? Why does she have to be so exceptional to make the story? Almost as though if she weren't this exceptional, gifted, talented person, then she should have just stayed put, if you know what I mean. I think it would have been more relatable if they had just given her a normal life, a normal experience, and that she wanted to leave because, she didn't get along with her husband or whatever it is, rather than that she was pursuing this unrealistic dream, if that makes sense. So that whole thing bothered me. And what bothered me most is that I just wanted them to spend more time instead of with that whole friend group or whatever, which, by the way, I was like, are you guys trying to appeal to millennials? Is that what's going on here? Millennials. Anyways, I just wish that they had spent more time on the characters who were so fascinating, like her mom. So, for example, her mom, this is a huge spoiler alert, by the way, this whole video is a spoiler alert, but her mom is a lesbian and has this lesbian lover in Berlin. And for someone in the Orthodox community, I can't imagine that she would just be like, oh, okay, cool. There was so much to dive into there, and just the whole relationship with her mom deserved a whole separate series. So I just felt like that got brushed over a little bit too much. There was clearly so much hurt, so much history there, and then they were just like, all right, well, that's over and done. Let's move on to the friend group and getting coffee. So, yeah. And just more with her husband in general. To me, it wasn't really clear, is he the bad guy? Is he a good guy? I kind of felt a little sorry for him, especially that part, if you know what I'm talking about. I was strangely kind of intrigued by his story, and it's obviously he didn't get an education in those aspects either, and he, I don't think, was entirely at fault for the way he treated her, if that makes sense. Not to justify his behavior in any way, which I probably am doing, but just as a character, I was interested in him and I wanted to spend more time with him and not the friend group. And last but not least, I just want to make a show recommendation. If anyone liked unorthodox. I think you will love Shtisel. I think I've talked about it on this channel before. I maybe did a Shtisel-Maisel comparison. I know I wrote about that. I don't know if I did a video about it. Anyways, Shtisel is about an Orthodox Jewish neighborhood in Israel, and the show's a lot longer. I think it's 3 seasons, maybe 2. But it is a lot more real feeling, and the main actress in Unorthodox, Shira Haas, is also in Shtisel, and she's amazing in Shtisel as well. And the rest of the characters are just a lot more fleshed out. It's a lot more real. It doesn't kind of gloss over the Orthodox life, or it doesn't make a caricature of the Orthodox. It really makes them human, and I think you almost forget how different their lives are because the characters and storylines are just so relatable and interesting. But this ain't about Shtisel, this is about Unorthodox. Let me give it a full rating. I give it a 7 out of 10. But with an asterisk to say highly bingeable. And that's really great at this time when we all need a show to just dive into and forget the world. So that's what I think of Unorthodox. I would love to hear your thoughts. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!